The Morton for this week was our SmackDown. This is probably going to be the shortest SmackDown review I've ever done because there wasn't a whole lot to SmackDown this week, but there was some like heavy story beats in it. So, like we talked about earlier, I wasn't sure if it happened on Raw, so I'll cover a little bit more here because it may have actually happened on SmackDown. But we had LA Knight and Santos Escobar. Their U.S. Championship match has been announced. I can't remember if they announced it for like a future SmackDown or for the actual pay per view, but here we go for round eight. Um,
Yeah.
LA Knight literally won all three of the initial matches and the four since then. So it's like, what are we doing? Um,
Yeah.
I if I have one really bad thing that I did not like about WWE this week, and if it's just one thing between two shows, okay, but it's this right here. It's please give LA Knight a new challenger. I am not mad that Santos Escobar is getting to challenge for a title. I'm mad that he's challenging for the same title over and over again and losing. If he had won it, if this was a back and forth exchange, if he felt like if they had built him to and he felt like a legitimate challenger, this would not be an issue. But they have basically let LA Knight clown on him and beat him seven times in a row now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that's a way you bury somebody. That's golden shovel burial. That's not
It's what they
building.
used to do all the time with Dolph Ziggler anytime he was, chasing that mid card title.
Yeah. So basically, that's what's
Or
happening
Kofi
there.
Kingston for a while. I was like, oh, we're just gonna have him beat you down and beat you down
Right. Right.
because we can't be bothered to find a different challenger and a story to go along with it.
Right. So we had a women's triple threat match, which I gotta give it to WWE for these like tournament qualifier matches or these actual tournament matches. They're doing triple threats and stuff. It's really odd to me, but I like new stuff, and it's only odd to me because it's new. Like in the future, I'll probably be like, why are there only two people fighting for this tournament qualifier? You know,
This will become the standard. Yeah.
yeah, I really like it. I kind of hope the way they do like trios and quadruple tag matches becomes the standard too with the one man legal all the time. But um, they had a three way with for women. It was Bianca, Chelsea Green, and another young lady who's either from Australia or New Zealand, whose name I cannot remember right now. Um, I haven't seen her on TV a lot. That's why I can't remember her name, but I
Hmm.
can place her
Trying
face.
to trying to think of who it might
She's
be.
relatively new. I mean, at least to me, she's new.
Well, they let go of Indy Hartwell, so it's
Yeah, it's
not
not
her.
indie. It's no, she's like a meaner. She's like a heel, but I can't remember what her name is. Either way, it was one of those ones where it was like with the BFAB situation last week, where it was like we know this person's here to eat the pin,
Yeah.
and I felt bad because I don't really like it being obvious that somebody's going to eat the pin in this match. But it was Bianca Belair, Chelsea Green, and this girl, and so of course she was going to eat the pin. However, where they did surprise me was that um, at one point during the match they cut to the back and Jade Cargill has been thrown on top of a car or laid out on top of a car. Either way, what we're seeing is the aftermath. And the entire hood of the car is dented and the glass is broken and Jade is laid out on it. Insinuating that someone has beat the shit out of Jade Cargill, which is crazy to me because she's like one of the most powerful people in the women's division. It had to have been somebody like Nia, or at least that's where my mind goes. Of course, we
You
don't
know,
get the answer
it's
to who did
so
it.
we really do live in a blessed age where there are big wrestling companies willing to spend much money on ruining rental cars for the sake of furthering angles.
My lord, these guys are going to get us back to where we can't get rental cars anymore, man. For
Yeah.
the longest time, especially like the 80s or like after the 80s, like from like the early 90s or like the mid 90s to like
Yeah.
the mid aughts, we could not get a rental car.
Yeah.
Because if you put wrestling down as your occupation, you were not getting a rental car that day. Like that was just
Yeah.
what it was. Um, but
And that will come up later.
yeah.
This car
Oh
thing.
God, yeah, it will.
Yeah. We'll get
So
there.
anyway, so Bianca left the match because Jade's beat up back there, you know. So Bianca took off running to go see what's going on with her partner, and Chelsea Green took advantage of that and she got the pin. So Chelsea Green and Bailey are now the two competitors for the Women's U.S. Championship. I don't know if there's going to be more, if it's going to be like a 4-way or a 3-way, but we're having trios match. We're having like triple threats to determine it. So maybe they're going to do another triple threat and we're going to get a third. I think they put up the brackets, but I honestly didn't. I can't remember them because it was briefly. I don't have a eidetic memory, so I can't just remember this tournament bracket.
Right.
But it looked like there might have been maybe there's 2 more matches for 2 more competitors, so we're going to get maybe we'll get a 1-on-1 after 2 semifinals. But right now it's Bailey and Chelsea. Then we go back to the bloodline, and so new bloodline comes out. Solo Sikoa demands that Roman Reigns and his crew come out and accept his terms of surrender. And
wow,
yeah, yeah,
arrogant.
Yeah, it real arrogant. Yeah, Solo's arrogant, and like they're building this character's great. He's meant to be arrogant, but not as good as Roman Reigns, and he knows it. And
he's got imposter syndrome.
Yeah, he's got imposter syndrome.
He's fighting against him.
It's working, man. It's working. They're building it right. Solo plays good imposter syndrome, man. Like he plays insecure really well. So anyway, they like, we've got 5, y'all have only got 4. You don't want to do war games like this, accept our terms of surrender. Join us. Because Solo is still trying to get them to join up. Like he made it clear later. He doesn't want to beat them up. He wants them to join. And acknowledge him.
His goal is to be the tribal chief and have everyone acknowledge him.
So
he doesn't want to destroy the family. He wants the credit of uniting the family because it's more important to him. It's more valuable to unite than to divide. It always is. It always is. So of course that's where the power lies. It makes perfect sense.
So then we go to the OG bloodline, and it's Sammy and the Usos and Roman. They're sitting there together, and they're talking about who the 5th guy is going to be. And Jay and Jimmy are like, man, we've called everybody. Like, we don't know who to ask. Like, everybody said no. And I'm assuming at this point in the show, we'll talk more about this as I get into it. But at this point in the show, I'm thinking it's got to be Hikuleo or somebody like that. It's got to be one of the few remaining independent Fatus because it's only like, there's like 100 of these guys, but there's only like 4 or 5 of them left that aren't signed.
I think Zilla's contract with MLW ran out recently too.
I think it did, but I'm not sure on the status of that because I don't keep up that much with MLW. But it's got to be Hikuleo or Zilla or somebody like that. That's what we're thinking. So, but we made calls, we did all this, we did that. It's not. Nobody's coming. Nobody's going to be the 5th. And then Sammy's like, well, I could ask Seth again. And Roman straight up says, no, F Seth Rollins. We're not doing that. He's like, this is the only these 4 people right here are the only 4 people that matter. We're going to go out there, and if we die, we die together. Okay, cool. So then that's those segments happen in the middle of the show, and then we get Cody Rhodes in the ring. And Cody Rhodes is in the ring because this week he has demanded that Kevin Owens show his face at SmackDown. And he wants Kevin Owens face-to-face in the ring.
Yeah.
He comes out, he starts talking, he calls out Kevin Owens. He's like, I don't want to beat around the bush. Kevin Owens, get your ass out here, right now. Kevin Owens comes out in his typical sleeveless t-shirt, but it's a tuxedo t-shirt. And he says, you can't say no to the great and powerful Cody Rhodes. So I showed up here dressed to the nines, and Cody Rhodes is wearing like jeans and a sports jacket. And he's like, you couldn't even be bothered to wear your sleazy businessman suit. And look, I have a tux on.
Kevin Owens is the best.
Kevin Owens is unhinged in the best. I love Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is my favorite person in wrestling because he has not only my hairline and my beard and my body type, Like, I love Kevin Owens because that's basically my wrestling twin. That's the guy that I identify the most with. He is a little bit mentally ill, he's kind of
Yeah,
portly, and he'll still kick
yeah.
your ass. So,
He's such a nice guy too. I've
yeah,
met him in a couple of indie shows, and he's just the nicest guy and a fellow zoo enthusiast, which I appreciate.
right. But so him and Cody are going back and forth, and he's like, Cody's like, well, I demanded you come here and be in this ring, and Kevin's like, no, we're not going to do that. And that's basically the gist of this whole thing is that Kevin is going to basically tell Cody Rhodes, like he told Cody, well, okay, I say basically just, but it went way farther than this. They dropped bombs on one another, like real bombs on one another. It was crazy how what I said on Blue Sky in my post about this segment that this is generational shit. This is generational shit.
I'll have to go check that out then.
Cody
I
Rhodes
haven't seen anything about it
Cody
yet.
Rhodes told Kevin Owens the whole spiel about how you're the only one holding yourself back, Kevin. And you're a victim, and you're always playing a victim, and all this other. And Kevin Owens looked like he was legitimately going to break out in tears while Cody Rhodes was talking. His eyes were definitely glossed over in that fashion, like he looked like he was about to cry. Like, ooh, maybe you're hitting a little too close to home there, homie. But then Kevin Owens came back and said, this is all your fault because I spent 4 years fighting the bloodline and Roman Reigns tried to end my career no less than 3 times. And then he comes out and he's like, I need a tag partner and nobody will tag with him and you do it. So fuck you, Cody. I hate you. Yeah. And it's really not that often that somebody tells somebody in wrestling, I hate you. Yeah. It doesn't happen that often. And in this particular case, because Cody was talking about how I love you, but you're the only person in your own way here, blah, blah, blah. And Kevin was just like, no,
you love me, I hate
you stabbed me in the back and I hate you. And this is all your fault.
I mean, like I said, the majority of my experience lately with WWE is listening to you describe it to me. But I gotta say, as great a baby face as Cody Rhodes is, and just seeing him and be a great person he is. I told you the story about how he gave up his fee to fix our ring. Last week I told you that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's a great dude. It's hard for me not to side with Kevin on this one because of his reasoning. It's like, dude spent 4 years. I mean, I remember both of those Royal Rumble matches. Like, I did see them. Like, I'm kind of on Kevin's side here.
Yeah, I think I might be too. Actually, I really like Kevin Owens anyway, so I might be on Kevin's side with this one. If he comes out the WWE champ at the end of this, I'll be happy actually. So
it's not gonna happen. They won't give us nice things.
I know. But then, and here's where it gets wild. This is what made the week of wrestling for me. Like there was good shit going on in both companies across the board. All right, but me being just who I am, this is where it got good. All right. So new bloodline comes out. They take their place in the ring. Bronson Reed in tow. It's their 5-man War Games team.
Yes.
And we are all of the opinion that they have telegraphed this with Bronson Reed and that it's going to be Seth Rollins. But Seth said no, not once, but twice. And then Roman Reigns said, no, don't ask him again. So we're thinking it's not going to be Seth. But the OG bloodline comes out, new bloodlines in the ring. It's just the 4 guys with the OG bloodline. They get up on the apron of the ring. It looks like they're about to get in the ring and a fight's going to happen. They kind of get in the ring. They're like face to face. Everybody's there. And Solo's like, I love you all. I just want you to join up with me. We could run this place if you would just join up with me. And you're not going to win War Games. Look at the situation. There's 5 of us. There's 4 of you. This is not working for you in any way. Just acknowledge me. And then he hands the mic to Roman, and Roman goes to talk and is immediately interrupted by, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And I have never heard a crowd lose their fucking minds on a SmackDown so hard. He comes walking out, gets like the biggest pop. I am so happy at this point. My hair is standing on end. Paul Heyman is with us again. And I love Paul Heyman.
He is, in my mind, the best talker in wrestling history, and it's not even particularly close.
No, it's
It's
not.
not even close.
Not even close. It's
Look
like
at his body of work. It
no.
spans 3.5 to 4 decades of him being the best person with a mic in front of his mouth, even with alongside great talkers like CM Punk.
Yeah.
Like, it's still Paul. It's
right.
And he's been like, he's the best. Some people may think that, I mean, and in my mind too, he's the best manager of all time. Like, I know people really hold Bobby Heenan in high esteem, and I understand that. And I even, to a degree, agree with it. But it's Paul Heyman.
Like, there is a Mount Rushmore of wrestling managers that has 3 other guys on it who are not Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And the other 3 are Jimmy Hart, the aforementioned Bobby Heenan, and Jim Cornette. I know a lot of you aren't going to like to hear that name, but as a wrestling manager,
really good at his job.
As a manager, that he's on the freaking he might not be as a podcaster or a wrestling commentator, but as a manager, he is definitely on that.
That's the thing that I'm going to take this opportunity to just quickly reestablish one thing. This is not a podcast where we discredit talented people if we don't like other aspects of their personality or their lives. We give credit where it's due. We highlight the wrong as well. You know, Jim Cornette is kind of an a-hole.
Like, oh, he's definitely no.
And his fans are his legions of cult. The cult of Cornette are the worst.
I listen to Cornette.
I eggs them on.
See, I objectively love his podcast, but I also know when to take it with a grain of salt, and I also don't let it make it my entire personality. Cornette fans are the MAGA of the left.
They are. They're the worst.
That's
They're
true.
The absolute
I hate to say it. Sorry, Jim, if you're listening. I hate to say it, but that's what you created. So
I mean, and anyway, he knows that. Like, that's the thing, though. What he is, there is that aspect of it, but he was also an incredible manager.
Incredible.
Also an incredible talker. A character.
One of the best.
He's also, I mean, he's right up there with Dave Meltzer in terms of living wrestling historians.
Oh yeah,
like, he is an excellent historian, but he is so irritating as a person and a podcaster.
I can listen to him talk about wrestling history all day, though. He knows his shit.
Absolutely,
and he has books
soon as
to
it goes
it.
Into like as soon as it goes into the modern stuff and his opinions on that, I would turn it off. But like, if his show was only about stories or about wrestling history, man, that would be one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Legit.
I only listen to him on YouTube because he breaks up his show the way we do ours.
Yes.
And I always like when it's like Jim Cornette on Dutch Mantel or Jim Cornette on NWA in the 80s. That's when I go and click on the video.
Exactly. That's my wheelhouse with him too.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm having a religious experience. Paul Heyman is one of the best managers of all time. I'm so glad he's back. We've been wondering about it. We got that disconnected number message last week when Roman tried to call him. I didn't know what was going to happen here. So Paul Heyman comes out and he's cutting a killer promo as he does. And we're about to roll right into another controversial figure. So here we go. He says 4-on-5 does not make sense in wise man math. That doesn't work for me, and it's not going to work for you either. So it's not going to be 4-on-5. War Games is going to be 5-on-5, and here's your 5th guy. And he points at the fucking entranceway, and CM Punk's music hits.
Yeah, I did see and hear about this. Yeah,
and CM Punk comes walking down the aisle, wrapping his fist up, like he is. Obviously been taping all the way through Gorilla, and it's just one hand. He doesn't have the other hand taped up. He's just got the one. He's wrapping the tape around the hand as he's walking down the aisle. He gets in the ring. He immediately jumps on Bronson Reed and starts laying a beating on him. and then chaos ensues, and we've got a 5-on-5, beat down going on. They cleared the ring. Now, after SmackDown went off the air, like SmackDown went off the air as Roman was walking towards the ropes to do his one thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, they all did that, but CM Punk made the go to sleep gesture. So of course he's got to
Well,
be a rebel. You rebel, you CM.
well,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
that yeah,
he's not actually part of the
yeah.
bloodline. It
He's
wouldn't
probably
make
not going
sense
to
for him to do it
acknowledge
anyway.
Roman Reigns, but also he's a Paul Heyman guy. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to. Nobody's our friend. Nobody wants to be with us. Nobody likes us. You know who else nobody likes? Nobody likes CM Punk right now. So you know what? This is a perfect fit. Nobody likes CM Punk, and
I
nobody.
mean, he's okay with Cody for
Yeah, I mean,
now.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're okay. But what I'm saying is like, let's talk. I mean, let's even talk about the general wrestling fandom. There is a general distaste for CM Punk going around right now. Not in my
You
house,
know,
but it is happening.
I
Uh,
mean, I would say that I wouldn't necessarily call it 50-50 split, but it's pretty close split down the middle
yeah,
generally.
yeah,
I mean, like you know where I stand on that, and we won't go into that because this podcast is already going to be going too long if we do. But yeah, I mean, he certainly has value whether you like him or not. He certainly brings an audience. He
yeah,
certainly brings all of the talents that everybody who now have disowned him. He still has all those talents. Like
right.
again, going back to what we just said about Cornette, this is not a show where we will discount people's actual talents. It's not going to happen. We're going to
Yeah,
call it fairly.
yeah. So is he also an asshole? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
but is he a great wrestler and a great talker? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I a fan? Sure. I'm absolutely a fan of his, and I'm not going to deny it because I think people won't like me because of it. F that. Um, I like what I like, and other people can like what they like, and I'm not going to argue with them about it.
Yeah.
But that's basically where SmackDown ends. Um, CM Punk is the perfect choice. Paul Heyman coming back was a religious experience. Cody versus Kevin is generational shit. WWE Smackdown, especially, is putting out some fucking stellar work right now. Big up for all of it this week. Like I said, the only thing I really don't like that's going on right now is the continued shellacking of Santos Escobar and his golden shovel burial.
Yeah.
But all they got to do for that is switch the feud up a little bit. Now, see, they are kind of switching it up, but they've golden shovel buried Santos Escobar, and now LA Knight's being attacked by a returning Shinsuke Nakamura,
See,
who
yeah,
who
that.
is 100% playing a Japanese demon. He's got the painted face and he's wearing the black
Ooh, is a
clothes.
yokai.
Yeah, he's a
All
yokai,
right.
and his vignettes are about LA Knight's insecurities and shit like that. He's definitely playing a Japanese demon. I'm 100% here for it. But there wasn't much to say about it because that's all we've got. We've got like he returned and attacked LA Knight last week. He came in after LA Knight's match this week and attacked him again. We're obviously
See,
barreling towards that program, but the person who is suffering because of that is Santos Escobar.
yeah, see, that's why I don't like it. Like, save that for next week after, or save that for the week after Survivor Series,
Yeah,
so that it's
something
not
like that.
obvious that like give give the audience at least some hope that you're going to see a title change. Some kind of doubt. I mean, with his next challenger already lining up, it makes it all about academic.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
that's just broadcasting it way too far in advance.
Yeah, I don't see them giving Escobar the belt and then letting Shinsuke and LA Knight run no belt. Yeah, I
No,
don't think that's going to happen. So,
me neither.
because I think Shinsuke's probably going to win. If he plays out this yokai character the way I think it could go, he could be the next U.S. champion. And I'll be here for it. It'd be an interesting twist character. I mean, I know we got Wyatt Six on there already, but Japanese yokai Undertaker, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about WWE this week. SmackDown was godly. It was a religious experience just because of that last part. And now we got like the biggest of big hot tags this time to talk about AEW Full Gear, baby.